Hello and good morning. Thanks for joining. May I ask, do you hear me? Can you raise hands if you can hear me? Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, a very warm good morning from Switzerland to Asia. I see people from Singapore, from Hong Kong, even people from Switzerland. Thank you for waking up that early. I believe for you guys in Asia, it's already the afternoon. So thanks for taking time and listening to our presentation, our webinar about visualization of Maximo data in our EAM Flex Calendar Plus add-on. I believe we are already complete, so I want to get started. Perhaps a few sentences about EM Swiss. So we are a Swiss-based Maximo consultancy company. We have been founded in 2010 in Switzerland. We are purely focusing on Maximo, no other product, but within the Maximo framework, we are doing all different type of consultancy services, like process engineering, like customizing, like reporting. We offer support services to our customers, and so on and so on. Generally, we are focusing on Switzerland, but we also serve global customers with their Maximo systems. And in addition to that, we have customers out of different industries, because Maximo, as you, I believe, all know, is a tool. Enterprise asset management belongs to every industry. Perhaps there are differences in the level of detail and stuff, but all companies I know do have enterprise assets who need to, or which need to be managed. Now let's go to today's topic, to the things I want to present, and I want to start with a question. So if you think about managing dates, appointments, and stuff, do you prefer a visualization like that? It's taken from Outlook. Do you find that gives you a very good overview, or do you prefer something like this? I don't think I have to make a poll on this question. The answer should obviously be clear. And with that in mind, we started to develop an add-on for Maximo called EM Flex Calendar Plus. And today's webinar is clearly targeting to, let's say, Maximo power users and Maximo administrators. And I want to, and I will try to cover the two different roles in a way that none of you gets bored while I'm explaining things for administrators or the other way around. So EM Flex Calendar Plus, what it is and what you can do with that is the topic of today's presentations, and I will do most of it on a demo system, and please keep your fingers crossed that this works without any issues. What I'm going to show you are two different modules of this tool. The one module is about integrating calendar views into Maximo, and there I will show you how an asset calendar can give you a better visibility on different things going on a specific asset. I'm going to show you how you can use EM Flex Calendar for a lightweight work order planning. These are the two topics, perhaps focusing on super users. For the administrators is also something part of today's webinar. I want to show you how to configure the Flex Calendar Plus so that you start to understand, hopefully, that the name, what the name Flex Calendar stands for, or what the name Flex stands for. And then I will do on the intern and on the integrated calendar piece a first round of Q&A. And after that, I will go over to a second module, which we call calendar subscriptions. It is a way which enables you in Outlook to subscribe to calendars coming from Maximo and to visualize work orders, assets, or whatever you want in your Outlook calendar or on your iPhone, wherever you have an online connection to the Maximo server. And we will do also a Q&A session after the second part on the subscriptions piece. So now, with that short, quick introduction, I want to go over to our demo system, and I will show you the first examples how Flex Calendar Plus can be used in Maximo. So first of all, I want to explain where we came from. So I'll start with the labor reporting application. That's where all the developments around our Flex Calendar Plus came from. A couple of years back, we started developing let's say, nicer way of creating labor actuals in Maximo. For those of you who use that function, you know you have the labor reporting application, which is a table view. You have the ability to report labor hours on the work order tracking application or the quick reporting application. But none of them do have a calendar view like this, and therefore we started developing that and integrating an existing calendar framework into Maximo. And this is now, I believe, 4 or 5 years from now, and the way how labor reporting works here is like that. You highlight a section here, a Maximo dialog appears, then you can select work order from a list or work orders which are assigned to you. I take this one, you do a memo, inspection done. And by clicking OK, the labor report record has been saved. This application here does not just allow to create new labor actuals, we can even duplicate them, move them around, make it a little bit smaller or bigger. We even allow to approve labor transactions if a user has permissions to do so, or in case you want to delete it, you can delete it. So let's do the same for a ticket. Fixed, replaced, bulb, okay, placed. So by integrating that calendar with the purpose of creating a labor transaction, we learned about the calendar, the framework we are using. And then customers came back to us and asked us why they cannot use that for showing appointments on an asset, like work orders, like service requests, like maintenance windows, like meter readings or stuff. And that was the starting point for the development of a more flexible add-on, which we called EAM Flex Calendar. And this is what I want to show you right now in the asset application. So In the asset application, I have a random, I've prepared an asset where we see a little bit of data. So here we have, in our demo system, we collected all observation decks within Switzerland, and we simulate doing maintenance on that. And this is one observation deck close to Zurich, where we have added some information in the calendar view. So this is how Flex Calendar in the asset application looks like. And again, where we came from, we created an add-on for labor reporting, and then customers asked us to make it more flexible to show different type of data. In the labor reporting application, we just show labor reportings on work orders and stuff. But here on the asset, we do have different data sources, like downtimes. So if we hover over, we get more details on that. We have the ability of showing work orders. And in addition to that, we added we show meter readings on specific times. And if you hover over, you see information about the reading itself. The idea of Flex Calendar Plus is to have a calendar view and to add data sources to visualize. That was the second development step. And visualize means you just can show information. You cannot add or edit information in this view. And based on customer feedback, that was then triggering the third step of development, which was the ability to add new records to this view. And it will work the same way like in the labor reporting application, with one difference. If you highlight a time frame in the labor reporting application, it is clear that the user wants to do a labor actual for a work or whatever. If you do that, for instance, on an asset, we need to specify which record you want to create. And that is done through a drop-down menu by clicking on the right mouse button. And then the user selects what does he want to add. Does he want to add a downtime? Doesn't make sense to add a downtime in the future. A maintenance schedule, or a work order. These are the three options configured in this demo system. And for the administrators of you, I will show you how to add another data source soon. In our example, let's do a maintenance schedule. So I select the maintenance schedule and the custom dialog appears. And here I can add the CLI remarks. Weekly maintenance window. Click OK, and the record is here. Again, in certain cases where the maximal business rules allow to do so, we can move these blocks around and update the database in this way, like this emergency work order. That does not work for the maintenance window. Why? By Maximo default rules, and I have no idea why it's built that way, but by Maximo default rules, it is not allowed to change start date, end date, or maintenance hours for this specific Maximo object. What does that mean? EAM Flex Calendar Plus is really a visualization, and it does not, you cannot do things against the Maximo business rules. The same thing with moving around applies to the meter readings. You cannot change the reading date once you have entered it. and therefore we cannot move around that. So second example, let's try to create a new work order. So new work order. I hope it works. Order via Flex Calendar Demo. Oh, ha, cool. So we have added a new work order. We can move that around, or make it a little. Let's start it a little bit early, and so different data sources, different possibilities to add data to an asset, but also to allow users to gain a better overview on what's going on in our specific case on an asset. So far about assets. If you have questions, so feel free to raise it using the Q&A function of the Zoom application. I will try to answer them as good as I can, or we catch up later. The second example, before we dig into configuration, is the use of our Flex Calendar Plus in the work orders application for doing, we call it a lightweight work order planning. We found smaller maintenance departments or smaller customers, they are mostly overwhelmed by the functions of the out-of-the-box scheduling tools, the Maximo Scheduler or other third-party tools. Therefore, we gave it a try. A good question, and this question will be answered in a second. Thank you. We found we tried to do a planning. The idea was to use the functions of Flex Calendar Plus to do work order planning, and then we gave it a try, and that's the outcome. So the approach would be, we select the work orders we want to visualize in the calendar view. We do that in the work order tracking application. Our demo system does not have too many of them. Therefore, we can just take all we have. And then we added 2 additional tabs here. Tab number 1 is a monthly view. That is how the monthly view looks like. And the idea we thought, which would be the lightweight approach, was that we use the monthly view to move around the work orders being on a monthly basis, so that we see we have a month in our eyes, and then we can take and balance it out a little bit. Already the 11th is, as far as I know, in some areas public holiday here in Europe. So for those of you who live in that areas, you have a nice day off tomorrow. So we flip around the work orders here in the monthly view in the first run, and then we switch to the weekly planner, which is actually here. We see the current week. Today is the 10th, and now same approach. We can, I don't know, put that a little bit down. Seems like this work order doesn't. It should fit. So you can do a weekly planning. It's also possible to select the work order by clicking on the work order. Then you get some detailed information, which is again an additional dialog which can be configured by the Maximo administrator using Application Designer. So. For the planning piece in work order, I have nothing else to say because it is as simple as I have shown you. It's really a lightweight planning. It does not matches on skill sets and stuff like that. It's really trying to visualize work orders and giving the person who used that views to balance out the number of a work order within a week or so. And since it is based on a list view, you can perhaps have a filter for a specific person, and then you can employee labor, and then you can do an individual. You can use the same framework to plan for an individual labor, as well as you can do balance out the number of work orders for a month or so for your entire team, again based on the stored query or the query criteria, which is independent of Flex Calendar itself. So with that, I want to give you for the administrators, for people who are able to configure Maximo, I want to give you an insight how that looks like in Application Designer and how it can be configured. And I want to do that with the asset application. As you might remember, we have the calendar tab in the asset application. And there we have our Flex Calendar Plus in there. So we made it possible to configure that really using the application designer. And what you can see here are the two main elements of the Flex Calendar. The one thing is the calendar itself, where we have some properties like what is the width, the height, what is the begin of the business hours, end of business hours, some numbers driving the size of the calendar, like the duration per cell, or especially the height of a cell and the view type. As you have seen in the work order planning thing, we have different view types. One is week for instance, the other one is month. We are working on day or 1 day or days, number of days. This is future use, but we can also visualize just the work week. So these are the properties on the calendar itself. And then we have to assign what we call data sources. So where does the data the calendar should visualize come from? We saw downtime information in the asset. We saw meter reading. Let's take a look at the meter reading. If I go to the properties here, we see much more properties. We will have label, some IDs. The important is the relation. Where does the data come from? What are the attributes for a start and for end date, for instance? What is the color? Are there any advanced options? It's not for the meter readings, but let's take a look to the work order. On the work order thing, we see again a relationship, event name, the event description. It's written like you write a communication template. Where are the start date and end date coming from? Especially one date, we have to specify one date, otherwise it doesn't make sense to put things in the calendar if you can't specify a date. And what's special with the work order is here is a the checkbox, can events be inserted? That means that drives the submenu, which is becoming available if you highlight a time frame and click the right button, and also some default values required if you add a new work order, which attributes have to be copied from, in this case, from the asset to the work order. And also an important thing, if you select a data source where you can add information, a dialog ID, which is the dialog opened by the Flex calendar if you select to add or change a new work order. So where is that? Here it is. Yeah, that's the. And this means as an administrator, you really can configure everything. And if you are not happy with the number of fields available for the work order creation, you can simply add it here, like you add fields to any other Maximo application or dialog. So, for giving you an idea how to configure, I have prepared a small configuration, which means we want to add the ability for adding service requests on the asset calendar. And this is done this way. We have here a few additional controls, and we need a new data source. Okay, so we add a new data source. We open the properties. I have prepared them to copy and paste because then we might be a little bit quicker. Service request. So, sorry. This is like that. Okay, we need to specify a data source ID. We provide documentation for all these parameters. So if you are interested or if you need to know how to use them, there is documentation available what the aim of the specific parameters are. We need the relation, we need the event attribute, which is description. So, affected date. Affected date. So we take the affected date as the start date. Then we do an event color like this. An event color like this. Okay, and then we want the user being able to add new service requests. That means we have to check the can be inserted, can be edited, and then we have to provide additional information like what is the dialog being used for adding and changing information. This dialog is something I have already prepared and it's already in the asset application. So that would have taken too much time. And we have to add some default information like this. This means we are copying the asset number, the site ID, and I believe the asset site ID from the asset to the service request. So now we save that, and we have successfully, or hopefully successfully, we will see it in a minute, added the ability to add service requests through the asset application in the calendar view. So let's try it out. I'm going again to the 1012. Observation deck, calendar. Okay, and now cross your fingers, please. I click on the right button, new appointment. now service request has been added here. It's now an additional option in this sub menu. Yo, cool. What happened? I don't know. Something broken. Now we have a new service request added using EM Flex Calendar, and the date again will be taken from the affected date. As you have seen before during the configuration, we can take any date of the Maximo object which you want. Okay. Let's go back to the Start Center, and then let's go back to the slideshow. So that was the first part of the first function, the first module of our Flex Calendar Plus, the integrated, we call it the integrated calendar views, integrated configurable calendar views in Maximo. So I already see some questions. Okay, we have, okay, one question is about monthly view or quarterly view. We do have the monthly view at the moment. We are working on something more flexible in terms of quarter view or even annual view, but this is work in progress. The monthly view is available at the moment. One of the other questions I see, would it be possible to add custom created fields? Yes, of course. As I mentioned, since we can configure these dialogues using Application Designer, you can add as many fields as you like. And if you do the service requests, for instance, then you can take each field from the service request application, but also fields related to service requests, and bring them into the dialog. It's, again, this Flex Calendar is more a visualization layer. What's there can be visualized. The other question, I don't get it so far, but perhaps we can catch up in person on that. I know. Okay, then I want to go over to the second function, to the second module, the calendar subscription, thing. The idea there was that customers requested or asked us, do you have an Outlook integration? And the answer was always no. And at a certain point of time, we started to think how we can accommodate such a requirement, and we learned from other companies or from public authorities or so that they provide internet calendars where you can see, I don't know, when is the garbage being picked up in the front of your home. And then we started to think about how we can put that into Maximo. And that's what I want to show you in the second function of our calendar. So, and this works like that. I will take a different user to do so. So think about you want to see work orders, your work orders or work orders of your group, your team or so. You would like to see them in Outlook. So that can be done this way. We have added a few fields, and I will quickly go over and create what we call a calendar link, and then you will show how that works. So I have to provide login information. Then I have to say which application is the data coming from, VoTrack. Okay. What is the query, stored query, in terms of what are the work orders you want to see? This is based on a stored query. I select the mapping. I will explain that in the configuration part of the demonstration. As of now, just believe me that this mapping is a very nice one. And then I'm able to create a calendar link. So, and this is something I can copy and paste that into my Outlook. And in Outlook, you have the ability, and that's also something you will find on your iPhone, for instance. And we didn't check it on Android, but it will be there for sure. But I show it in Outlook. You can add an additional calendar, and we can say this calendar is coming from the internet. Of course, a connection between your client and the Maximo server has to be available. So I paste the calendar link into this field in Outlook. Then I say, okay, I want to do it. And what you can see, and as you can see right now, this a second calendar, we have added an internet calendar, and in this internet calendar we see work orders from our Maximo system. For instance, what we just created previously, we made this work order from Flex Calendar. I'll open that. Oops. I'll open that appointment. And you see here information about the work order number, the dates, of course, the location, and some remarks. We have also added some categories. And this is what the mapping is for. So the mapping I've selected defines the title, and the title means work order, inserts the work order number and the description, and it does also map the attributes in Maximo to the start and to the end time, the location, and the description here. We also added the capability, like you have seen that in communication templates before, to jump back to Maximo by clicking on the link, and then you get back onto the specific record in Maximo. So now, how is that set up? Again, another interesting piece for the administrators is coming. As you have seen, you have to specify the application. The application derives the data. Is it work orders? Is it assets or so? And the stored query, which defines which records out of a specific Maximo application should be shown in this calendar. And for the mapping, we have added that into the calendar application in Maximo, where we can provide mappings saying, okay, what will be the title of the appointment? Where does the location come from? How does the description, the remarks look like, and so. And here again, same writing like you do configure communication templates. So, and some other stuff like the start and the end date. In this specific case, for the work order example, we have already we have the ability to choose from a specific date, or you can specify an automation script which is determining the date. However, to do an example on, for instance, warranty expiration dates on asset, we define, and that would be the second configuration example. We define, we want to have a calendar showing assets where the warranty is going to expire. And we have to create a mapping for that. So I have also prepared that as an example. So I'll quickly do the mapping and then we will get that into Outlook. So we say, okay, the summary should look like warranty expiration for asset, the asset number and the description. The location is coming from the Maximo location. Again, everything as you are is where like you do. You should be familiar with the annotation. It's made out of the same logic like communication templates. With description, we can specify a category, and then let's do the start date. The start date, and here we just have one date available. This is the warranty expiration date. We do that and put that here. And now we have finished our asset mapping. Okay, good. So now we have done the mapping. Let's take a look to the assets. I have pre-created a query showing all assets where a warranty expiration date has been set. We have 3 of them. That means if we go and create, I will do that again with the other user. If you go and create a calendar link for the asset warranty expiration, we can now select the asset application here, asset. We take our warranty expiration date query. It doesn't make sense to process all assets because if no date is set, then the calendar doesn't make sense. Here we see our new mapping, the mapping which we have created before. I take that one and I generate again an Outlook calendar link. And I'm going back to Outlook. I remove this one. Or let's see what happens. I add another calendar using this new calendar link. Oh, wait a sec. I believe I have a typo. Yep. And now we see another calendar which is showing warranty expirations for assets. And if we click on that, we have again the ability, because we have defined that in our mapping, to get back into Maximo and directly jump onto the appropriate record. So I hope that wasn't too quick altogether, but with that, I'm finished with the second part, the calendar subscriptions, and I'm gonna take a look if there are are there any additional questions on this function. This is okay. This is not the case. In this case, we are coming to an end. We will hand over you the presentation as well as the recording of the session in the next couple of days. So you can take a look or can replay it if certain things were too quick. I've also put some hopefully useful links into the presentation. There you can also see how the tool can be deployed to your Maximo environment. It's an add-on, so it's not part of standard Maximo, it's an add-on. It can be purchased directly from us, or you can go onto our FastSpring online shop to get that. The public or demo versions are available. Feel free to contact us. And the documentation of the Flex Calendar is also available through a link so that you can see what the different parameters can do for you. With that, I'm really at the end of the presentation. I'm glad to give you back a few minutes. If you don't mind, I will try to start a quick poll. I believe it's a poll. Yep, launch polling. If you want to provide feedback on how did you find the presentation, if we met your expectations, and so I would be very happy. Again, thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. And I hope we can catch up soon. You will receive the recording. And with that, I wish you a very nice day and thanks for joining again. Bye-bye.